I thought it was about time that I gave you a bit of a tour of my sewing room, my gorgeous little sanctuary. This room actually doubles up as a sewing studio, a filming studio, and a workspace office. Is where I do a lot of my tippy taps on the computer as well. I have been using this space just under a year, probably I think it was around May, June, where I properly set it up. So as you'll know, if you've watched any of my previous videos, I had a huge office and studio when I was running the So Hilly Jane subscription boxes, which have now closed. So we moved out of that studio and I moved everything back home. Now this room was actually my daughter Mia's room. We have shoved her out of this room and put her into the spare room. We live in a bungalow, so that is actually the third room is a converted garage. So it's long and thin and didn't really work for the purposes for what I needed, but she does love it in there. So I now have this room. And as I said, it doubles up as a few different things. So what you can see behind me is my very lovely background for filming video tutorials for ThreadySetGo. I've actually just finished wrapping up on one now on seam finishes, which is why I have these different samples so that I could take a lovely photo for ThreadySetGo. So yeah, this is my filming studio. It's all been set up. Andy, my husband, is a bit of a whiz at setting up camera, studio. We've got lighting. I've got an overhead camera and microphone up here. Everything has been beautifully set up to within an inch of its life, and I am genuinely terrified quite often to touch anything. So I'll show you all that in a minute. But before, behind me is my gorgeous pegboards, which I got from Block Design. I have one over on my sort of personal space as well, which was a gift to me when I left my previous job. And I got these three recently to set up my new background. And they're beautiful. Block Design have some gorgeous things. This isn't an affiliate. I will not get any money from them for telling you about it, but they are lovely. And you also get these like little shelves. So I've got this little pink one here, this shelf here as well, and that one over there. They all came as they're sort of separate parts, but they all came from the same place and they all work gorgeously together. So these little spotlights that we have here, they are just rechargeable spotlights that have been stuck onto the wall with that, was it called grip and hook or something like that? My thread rack was purchased from Amazon about 10 years ago as well, and that has travelled with me through multiple different sewing studios, workspaces, different rooms, different houses. It's been with me everywhere and it stands the test of time. It is just a wooden thread rack from Amazon. It does stand up as well, so if it's not attached to the wall, it can stand up too. Now, you might be wondering why they look so tidy. I ended up, after finishing up with the subscription boxes, I ended up with a lot of leftover threads. I'll show you the main bulk of the threads in a minute. And I didn't want to throw them away or give them away because they're really useful things to have. So this is a thread display, which is very indulgent. I do realise that, but I didn't purchase them specifically. I had them all left over, so I've done a beautiful rainbow of threads there. My little hanging plants, they obviously, you probably can already tell, they're not real. They are IKEA specials. But the little cacti, they are real, also from IKEA. A lot of the stuff in here is from IKEA. I absolutely adore these little pattern weights from Foxglove and Field. I think they're still making them. I think they're still a running business, so definitely check that out. They are really, really weighty. They've got some great weight to them, and they're really pretty as well. The little acorn, my little wooden acorn, my dad carved this. He actually carved it for Andy because when Andy started his business, he is a web developer, so very handy to know. His mum got him an acorn with the phrase, "From tiny acorns, big oak trees grow," or something like that. It's a famous phrase. So my dad carved him. My dad used to do a lot of wood carving. Sadly, he doesn't do it anymore. But he carved him this really lovely acorn, and I have stolen it and put it in here because it's quite special. So that is my background here. I shall spin you around and show you the other less pretty side, the side that I get to look at when I'm filming my tutorials. And this is all rigged up. So this is Andy's domain. He has found a real passion for photography and videography, which is great for me. It's not super professional. We have to make do, obviously, with what we can for now, but it works. It does the job. Anyone super professional who makes really high quality videos would probably look at this and go, what the hell? But it works and it's good enough. So Andy has spent a lot of time researching what works, and he uses a brand called Small Rig, which are available on Amazon. Again, nothing in here is an affiliate, by the way. I'm just going to tell you who we're using, what we're using, but there's no affiliates at all. So all of this sort of rigging is from Small Rig, as is this really lovely sort of, it's like an extendable arm. It moves around any way you want it to. The lights are from Amazon as well. And then over the top just here is an old iPhone that I use for my overhead shots, and I film both my overhead shots and my front on shots together at the same time, and then we can edit them together and chop and change between the two, which makes it so easy. The table is an IKEA special, one of the height extendable ones. So when I'm doing my video tutorials, I extend it up so that I'm standing up. Filming and sewing standing up is not easy. I have to tell you, it's not easy to sew standing up. Now, the other thing we do is cover the windows. In order to maintain steady light, I cover the windows with this really delicious, beautiful blackout curtain with Velcro. I literally have just stuck a whole bunch of Velcro onto here and onto the window, which I am now very terrified of taking off if and when we ever have to move. But I'm sure it will be fine. There will be some kind of substance that I can use to get it off. So we cover it up with this, and then that just helps to keep a really steady light. I don't have to worry about where the sunshine's coming in, any shadows, anything like that. So that's what we do for the lighting there. And then these lights stay on along with our spotlights. So this side of the room is where I do sewing when I'm not recording. It's also my desk where I sit and do any work on my laptop. And it's also where you'll find me if you ever join me on any of the online socials that I do for ThreadySetGo. I am usually sitting here. It's also where, if you've watched a couple of my most recent videos, I've been setting the camera up in that corner there so that you can see the whole room instead. And it's really nice to sit there and do that as well. So this is my original pegboard that I got as a leaving gift for my previous job. It's not super interesting. It just mostly has a lot of scissors. Why I have so many scissors, I don't know. I have accumulated lots of scissors over the years, and this is where they live. My favourites and most used are the smaller Fiskars, the orange handled ones, and obviously my little snips. I also have some lovely affirmations from my 8-year-old daughter Mia. She likes to leave me little notes. So we've got, if something goes wrong, I'm here to hold you and hug you and kiss you. We've got, anything is possible if you believe, and I love you more than anything. So over here we've got my sewing machine, my trusty Janome 230DC, plus a very lovely radio that doesn't actually, it does work, I just don't tend to use it very much. In here you will find things like batting and interfacing and all of those kind of bits and pieces. Then in these two drawers you will find a whole load of, it's a complete mess, but there we've got lots of extra threads and zips and things like that. So this is the final part of the room. It's not a big room and I don't have heaps and heaps of stuff. I try to keep things fairly small and minimal. I do have this corner here which tends to be hidden when the door is open and hidden behind this unit, and that is where I shove all the stuff that is too big to go anywhere, doesn't have a place and doesn't look very pretty, such as the manky old ironing board and a few other bits and pieces, some old tripods, things like that. So We literally close the door on it and don't look at it. So this Gutermann thread storage situation probably isn't the kind of thing you would typically find in a home sewing studio, but I bought it when I moved into my previous sewing studio with the boxes. It was super handy. Anytime I needed an extra 2 or 3 colors of a thread for the boxes, I could just go and grab it from there. I didn't want to sell it. I didn't want to get rid of it. I wanted to keep it. It was pretty expensive and it has very usable thread in it. So I haven't needed to purchase thread from a shop for a very long time, and I hope for a long time after. I do know that thread can disintegrate after a number of years, but I think we're talking a really good number of years. So I think I'm good for a while. So then we have my actual sewing supplies in a good old IKEA Kallax unit. I think a lot of people will be very familiar with the IKEA Kallax unit, and I think a lot of people measure their fabric stash in Kallax cubes, and mine is a very modest 2 cubes. There are some fabrics that have been stuffed down the back of those. Those are mostly remnants, but this is my very modest stash. I tend to only buy now what I know I'm going to use. Some of these are fabrics from previous Sew Hayley Jane boxes as well, and then the rest are things that I have purchased fairly recently that I intend to use. Okay, moving down here then. The pink box is full of paper patterns. Then I have some PDF patterns and sewing books here, and a lot more PDF patterns that have been printed out in there as well. This is the whip box of doom. It has actually gone down quite a lot recently, so I'm pretty proud of that. Then in this box, not looking too bad today actually. This is where I have all my sort of sewing supplies. So we've got various other bits and pieces in there. We've got zips in there, buttons, different sewing machine needles, pressing ham, all those kind of things are in there. My poor little overlocker lives on the floor, and then in order to hold back the door on the corner of doom, I use this old doorstep. There is another, it's actually not a doorstop, it is a bookend, and there is another one. It's upside down. There we go, that's better, isn't it? So that is a bit of a whistle-stop tour of my sewing room slash filming studio slash work office. It's not big, it's not super well organized, there isn't a lot of stuff to show you, but it works really well for me and for what I am doing. I absolutely love it in here. It is my little sanctuary, as I think most of you, if you're lucky enough to have your own sewing room, I feel very, very blessed that I do have my own space that I can shut the door and I can be in peace and I can do my socials, I can sew, I can work, I can film. So it's not big, it's pretty tiny, but it does the job and I love it. If you have any questions at all about anything that I've shown you, let me know in the comments and I will do my very best to answer them. Thank you so much everyone for watching and I hope you have a fantastic day. Bye.